Sometimes in life we just suffer. Sometimes it's from being totally withdrawn, or so much stress that we are totally anxious, or so tired that we are totally burnt out. But our current position is not our final destination. No, indeed. There's hope. So whether it's your personal life, your career, your relationship, your business, or your job, we say there's reason to believe again. And we present from Andy's personal development, the breakout room. It's the place for health, happiness, prosperity. Stay tuned for more. We are currently live in the breakout room, and we have in the studios Frank Healy as our guest. And as we stand by, I just want to introduce him for the moment as we stand by to begin this program. So, let me tell you a bit about Mr. Frank Healy. He's a therapist, a writer with a phenomenal memory, and he's a highly respected licensed professional counselor and experienced life coach with a profound commitment to helping individuals transform their lives. He has over 40 years of dedicated practice in the fields of counseling and coaching, and has become a trusted guide for countless people on their journeys toward healing and personal growth. Frank Healy has a highly superior autobiographical memory, and he has remembered every day of his life since he was 6 years old. So, without further ado, let's welcome to the breakout room live our guest, Frank Healy. Welcome, Frank. How are you doing?
Welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
And it's a pleasure to have you. We have been experiencing some technical challenges on both sides of the coin as well, but we're gonna go with the program as we are live. We can always do some editing and make up for what the problems were. So this episode is entitled "Living with a Memory for Every Day" with Frank Healy. So I guess the first question that we would like you to address, Frank, is simply this: what is it like, if you can remember, living every day of your life since you were 6 years old with that memory? How is that feeling for you?
Well, it's for many years it was mixed feeling because when people first hear about my memory, they think, "Oh, that would be pretty neat," but it was kind of good and bad because sure, I'll remember all the fun times I had, all the good days, but also remember things like days where things didn't go so well, disappointments and things. So, and I would remember the memories would come flooding back and with the same emotional intensity as if they were happening right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. Was it a struggle for you as a young man in school, growing up with that kind of gift, and people looking at you strange because it was such a rare gift were the young boys or ladies in your class or in your community thinking that maybe you were something strange or unusual, that kind of thing? What was it like for you growing up with the young people at the time?
Well, surprisingly, nobody ever told me that it was strange or anything. I was kind of I was admired and respected for it. Sure, I'd have
Wow.
some people who wouldn't believe it. Like when I first started going on radio shows before they were podcasts, people wouldn't believe it. But anyone who saw me live and asked me something like their birthday, or and I told them the day of the week and any news events and weather, they knew I could do this. And it was, and as far as going to school goes, I was real good at, of course, at any subject that just involved memorization. And it wasn't until I was about 17 years old where I started to master abstract thinking. Then, of course, I don't think I could have studied psychology if I didn't understand that too. And really, part of the main reason I went into psychology is I wanted I wanted to learn how to let go of the bad feelings from negative memories, because I was there was always because I knew I was never going to forget the actual episodes and the incidents, so at
Hmm.
least let go of the memory, the feelings from the bad memories, but retain the feelings from the good memories.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Frank. I could understand that. So, what made you decide that you wanted to help people through the form of therapy?
Well, what it was I was decide, having remembered every social slight, every time I was yelled at, and all that. Although I've never had anything like really wrong go on in my life, but many disappointments and setbacks, like romantic breakups. Like I just got married at 49, and and just a lot of. I had jobs that didn't work out, so to let go of that, and I wanted to help people. So it made me very strongly empathetic and understanding of people and how they feel in different circumstances. And I just really wanted to help. Some people have thought I should have been an accountant or an economist or something, because with this memory, I'd be good with numbers. But it's more about remembering the episodes in my life than it is about being good with numbers.
Yeah. Well, wonderful, wonderful. And then you decided to become a writer. Where did that inspiration come from?
Well, I felt like I was always good at writing in school. I'd write for the literary magazines and the newspapers and school newspapers. And I felt like, although being a therapist, I always really enjoyed that. Now, a licensed professional counselor, which is similar to a psychologist. But I thought I want to use all the things I'm good at. Being a Christian man with values, I believe in using everything God gave you to developing all your talents and contributing to the world. So that's where I thought I'm also good at writing, so I should do some of that too.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. And I'm glad that you think that you have to use the blessings that you've been given by God so that you can give back to the world. Really appreciate that, Frank. Thanks for sharing. So, in terms of your ability to remember these things, and you said that you decided to follow that part of psychology so that you can deal with the positive thoughts and negate the negative thoughts. How challenging is it for you sometimes when these memories come up and they are not so pleasant and you just want to give them a rest, lay them aside?
Well, one of the things I'll do is I'll immediately, this is something I teach my clients too, redirect the thought to something
Ah,
else.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and that's important because a lot of what influences with me which memories come up are anniversaries. Like
Hmm.
of Saturday, May 29th, 1971. We went to the circus, so that was a fun day. But Monday, May 29th, 1978, I was in a car accident.
Wow.
So, and to try and, okay, don't think about that. Either stay present in the moment of what's going on now or think of better memories.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, Frank. So, with regards to the writing, how much of a research do you need to do, or do you basically take it out of your memory?
Well, I'll take a lot of out of my memory, of course, when I need to cite something with footnotes, give credit to when I took anything and rephrased it. Then sometimes I need to look up where it was from. The app Copyscape is very helpful with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. So now, Frank, I'm just going to break for a commercial break here for a minute. Our
Okay.
sister podcast, Breaking Out of Depression, and we'll be right back. So stand by.
Okay.
Hi, friends. Phoebe Trotman here. I wanted to just thank Andy, Charles, and the team for what they're doing with their broadcast. One of the things that stood out to me is that they truly care. They are there every single Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, sharing what they have gone through, their experiences. They have guests who have gone through real challenges, and those guests are sharing what they've done to push through those challenges. But one of the things the reason I want to encourage you to tune in is because it helps you realize you're not alone. There is a community of people who care. There are people out there who've gone through challenges and they're sharing what they did to push through. And so it's a show of hope. It's a show of encouragement. It's also a show where you can learn. You can learn a tip or two to help you along your journey. So I encourage you again, tune in every single Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. They have a great lineup of guests. They themselves, they share their experiences, and I know it will help you through your journey. So I wanted to wish you continued success, good health, and many blessings in 2024 and beyond.
Okay, that was a message from one of our guests, supporters, and our patrons of our podcast, our sister podcast entitled Breaking Out of Depression. So now we are back live with Frank Healy in the breakout room. Frank, in terms of your future planning, with regards to the things that you want to do, goals you want to accomplish, when you set dates and stuff in mind, how important is it for you to use this very rare talent or skill that you have? And how does it help you to actually remember that you have to achieve something in 6 months' time, 4 weeks' time, as the case may be? How does it help?
Well, it helps by I can reference back through my memory about like times I've handled something like that before.
Ah,
It helps with that, and it helps me to even plan, plan how I'm going to get things done.
okay.
So it helps with all that.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
so
Okay.
yeah.
Great. Wonderful. So, in terms of people who want to forget some of the things that they have, I would say, as excess baggage from the past, and they really want to heal themselves, how does the therapy that you use and the coaching that you use help them to so do? What specific methods or techniques that you use to help them?
Well, on the one hand, there's some cognitive techniques, cognitive therapy, as well as dialectical behavioral therapy. And a lot of times, like, well, from cognitive therapy, we'll examine like what beliefs somebody what it might have created about themselves and the world around them, and how life is, and change those beliefs and help them realize that when you ground yourself in the present time, a lot of those beliefs don't make sense anymore. For instance, like maybe somebody who was bullied a lot in school, then they get into the adult world and think that the adult world is just as mean and nasty, and might grow up shy and paranoid. So might help them to see that it's a different world you're in, although not a perfect world, but a different world from middle school, grade school, and high school. And now you could probably make friends, be accepted, and develop your self-esteem that you can do things. And now as well as when that memory, sometimes I'll tell my clients to make a list of go-to thoughts. Like when you start remembering something that made you feel really bad, consult your list. Like the list of go-to thoughts can include scenes of past good memories. It can include positive affirmations or anything that would make them not dwell on that negative memory. Because the longer you dwell on something, the bigger the feeling you have about it grows inside you. So it's a good idea to cut off any negative feelings as soon as possible, negative thoughts, so that feeling doesn't grow. And unless you're in the middle of doing something like at work or in a class, it's okay to maybe get off your cell phone and the TV for a little bit and and dwell on positive things, and then the feeling you have inside you about that will grow.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. Sounds like good advice, Frank. Thank you for sharing. In terms of the natural gifted skill that you have you been called upon by the government or any other corporation to help with your memory skills? Sometimes maybe a class or two to help people to develop that same skill as well?
Well, I was back in 2011. I was studied at the University of California in
Yeah.
Irvine. They studied a lot of us, and I've even become friends with the other people who have what I have. Some of them,
Okay.
and studied our memory. And there's some potential stuff going on, that it could go on, which I can't really get into at this time. But
I hear you. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and sometimes I've been called on to give talks to a class about my memory and how it could maybe help them as students.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
wonderful.
but I've never been. But I mean, the thought has crossed my mind, but I've never worried about being kidnapped by some foreign government to for them to pick my brain.
I get it, Frank. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. What about memory competition? I've known of some people that have entered some competitions, and I've actually interviewed one individual who has won it twice. Have you ever entered any competition of that nature?
Well, not really of that nature, because my memory is again is my memory has more to do with episodes and things that happen than it does see a list of 100 faces and attach
Uh huh.
names to them, and then come back a half hour later and recite the names.
Right.
Yeah, it's less to do with that. Like I've never been in either the U.S. or the World Championships at Cambridge
Okay.
from memory.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Wonderful. So, in terms of the writing, are there more works in the future that you're looking to publish? Any continuation from where you left off or something new?
Well, I'm looking at a lot of ideas for how to improve your. Like I've written books on healing your memories, a self-help trilogy, where I interviewed about 12 to 15 people for each of the three books who overcame some real atrocities in their life, like living in a war-torn country, rape, school and office bullying, and career sidelining injuries and stuff, and how they overcame it and are now happy and thriving. And it included some exercise. They included some meditation and visualization exercises to heal the feelings from your memories. And most recently, last year I published a book called Stress Free Success. It's
Yeah.
about how to go after your goals but still remain stress free, uh, combining stress management techniques with goal setting and achieving. And I'm looking at books on how to achieve happiness, how to in an everyday life, not just like when you're on vacation or having a good time, but in your everyday life.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
looking, so I have a lot of ideas that I'm putting down, and I've written some books on emotional and published on emotional intelligence and how to and how to and I did one book. Or I had only one book on memory improvement that's available on Kindle, and I take three different learning styles and a test to see which one's your biggest: visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, and then specific exercises for each of the three types of learning to improve your memory.
Yeah. So the emotional intelligence is a 4 book series, right?
Well, I don't list it as a series, although I'm thinking I
Okay.
might change it into that. There's emotional intelligence in the workplace, emotional
Hmm.
intelligence in relationships,
Right.
and things. So I've done, I've done that. And in fact, even this morning, I was looking at some Amazon sales stuff and statistics and figuring out what would be some good topics for future books
Okay.
that people
Okay.
are interested in.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Frank, in terms of people who have suffered head injuries, trauma, and they are struggling to remember things, how can you help them to regain their capacity for memory?
Well, the first thing they need to realize is that during especially starting in the 90s, the decade of the brain, there was a lot of research done, and it showed the biggest finding they had was about neuroplasticity, which means our brains are a lot more malleable and adaptive than we thought. So if somebody had an injury for a particular part of the brain, other parts of the brain can compensate, and doing imaginative exercises to remember things can help someone gain their memory back for facts and figures or procedures they need to do, like driving or work. That can help with that. And and well, it's not my brainchild, but a lot of research has been done on helping people with dementia recall some of their more pleasant memories, like candles and scents, because the olfactory sense of smell actually is the strongest for bringing back memories.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. So, in terms of people who may be emotionally challenged and they are struggling with regards to their social relationships or they are struggling with regards to their job performance, any of your therapeutical or coaching techniques can assist them as well?
well, I think like one of the things it took me a long time growing up to really develop social skills and learning everyday skills, because I had so many facts and figures going on in my head that it was hard to pay attention to what was going on right in front. And whether it was to learn a new skill or to follow a conversation. But there are exercises where you can let the thoughts go. A lot of mindfulness exercises today, which can help you be mentally present right in the moment. That can help you concentrate and take in things that are right there and keep your mind from wandering so much. And even people with attention deficit disorder, many of them
Hmm.
can master this.
Yeah. ADHD is one of the most challenging things that a lot of people have to face these days in life and in the workplace as well.
Yeah, that's
In terms of mentoring, Frank, do you have any persons or maybe one or two particular persons or individuals that you see has a certain level of potential or ability and you want to impart what you do in them or with them so that there can be some level of continuity? Are you working with anyone like that currently in a mentorship program?
Well, I have in the past. I'm sort of on and off with that, but I've, helped people to improve, improve their day-to-day memory as well as. I mean, one of the other people who was studied at UCI was he wanted to be able to write books, but his attention deficit was hard. So I recommended to him, how about Audible books? And there's devices now where you can just speak in if it's hard if pen and paper is hard. And there's, and sometimes as far as remembering events, you know, you, sometimes holding the memory in your head for a certain amount of time can be helpful too. So it can go from short term to long term. So that can help. Now, like holding a thought for a long time can be good for memorizing and for school. Maybe not so good if you're in, say, the restaurant business or something that requires constant attention every second to different details. But it's been good for schoolwork and learning to memorize and remember more.
Yeah. So, Frank, what about CEOs or CFOs, Chief Executive Officers and Chief Financial Officers, who have to do a lot of brain use in terms of their work, the capacity to remember details with regards to employees, the task that they would have assigned to employees who has to do this, and the assignment has to come in when. And of course, the chief financial officer having to deal with a lot of figures and
Yeah.
breakdown of figures and budgeting and so on. Can you help these individuals as well from a professional perspective to be more effective and efficient in their jobs?
Well, I have helped years years ago, back in 1991, when I taught my first memory course. I had an airline reservationist in there, and that was before computers were widespread. So I taught him how to keep a few facts and figures at once because he could be getting 10 calls within the space of a couple minutes with people wanting to reserve flights. So I helped that. And I think to be a financial analyst, the bottom line prerequisite is you have to love what you're doing and have a natural interest. And
Wow.
with that, you have to, I tried economics in college and I was indifferent towards it. So it's kind of, I had to, but, keeping certain, the main thoughts in their head while they deal with the more minor details can be helpful.
Okay, great. So I'm looking at your information and I'm intrigued by a part that says, with little effort, he soon knew the entire calendar from 1752 to 2999. We are in 20 we are in 2024, Frank.
Yeah.
How amazing is that? I mean, I just can't even begin to imagine or wrap my head around it, as they say. What is that feeling like?
Well, it's like, there was actually a lot of prep work that went into that over years from age 6 until 13. I was
Yeah.
remembering the dates of what everything happened. And then when I was 14 years old, I wanted to be in the last day of school talent show at my school. And
Okay.
I thought, well, I should memorize more. And back in those days, they would have the perpetual calendar in the back of the phone book. And older people watching the show will remember phone books, And so I thought, okay, well, I can see patterns here. And one day, that day, knowing all the days of the week for all that time did require some calculation, like matching up what years were similar to what other years. And
Uh-huh.
so I thought, well, I'm thinking, but this 50 years ago, next month was when that happened. And I'm thinking, I can just look at this. And if I pair up what what years were similar to each other. In fact, and then I did a little bit of Boolean algebra with that. So it's a little bit of math. I divided, since there's 7 possibilities for dates to fall on, I called each from March 1st to February 28th. I numbered them from 1st to 7th. And then I thought, okay, well, now we're in the 3rd. Just wondering, but just back in January, February, and last year we were in the 5th. But because of leap year, we skipped the 4th. The last 4th was in 2018, and so
Yeah.
and that just led to really taking off with knowing what day of the week every day is or will be.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you, Frank. Thank you for sharing. How much of what you do can help people to maintain healthy mental balanced life with regards to dealing with any form of mental illness that they may have incurred over a certain period of time?
Okay, well, I think with anxiety, well, there's some breathing exercises that help, and I think that a lot of some people with an organic issue will need to take medicine, but even then, there's certain thoughts that lead to certain feelings. For instance, thoughts that something's going to be too much and you won't be able to handle it, or a catastrophe is about to happen. That will lead to anxiety. And thoughts that life's not really good anymore or not as good as it used to be will lead to depression. And thoughts that you're being shortchanged or ripped off in some way, that will lead to anger. So there's thought patterns with each. So changing the thoughts around can really help with that. Like I said
Yeah.
before about thought stopping and changing your thoughts.
Yeah. 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 So I want to try and bring it to be a little more intense if I can. I'm thinking, Frank, about someone who has been in a relationship, whether it be a marriage or they have been living with someone for a certain amount of years, and things really went bad and went south. And so after 20 years, after 25 years, the relationship came to an end, and now emotionally they feel damaged. They may not be necessarily that way, but they feel that way. They feel that hurt, they feel that rejection, they feel that separation, and they're trying to recover and come to terms with the reality that things are no longer going to be the same as it was for the past 20 years or so. And I'm just using these terms as a reference. Can you, with your expertise and your personal experience, help someone like that to recover and become more emotionally balanced as a person?
Well, I think it's well, first they need to realize that they'll go through the same stages of mourning as if their partner died, even if it's just a divorce. If it's a divorce after a long
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
they'll
yeah,
have anger, they'll have sadness and depression, and they'll probably spend a lot of time going over in their head what could have made a difference and all. So, but eventually they need to come to acceptance, and they also need to realize how much emotion they put into the one person, and learn how to, like with work-life balance, I think it's more like you need to learn how to spread your happiness and your emotions around, and not sort of that old expression, don't lay all your eggs in one basket. Like because
yeah,
since some
yeah,
people get who feel incomplete, they even young people might get totally obsessed with an activity in school, or with or they might get that way with the relationship they're in, and it really stings. And it's that much more for someone who's been in a relationship for a long time. So I would say everybody needs to spread their happiness around, and not all with one thing. And then the sadness in the morning, I wouldn't say it would not be bad. It would be hard, but it would be easier if you already had more things that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, and as you made reference earlier to neuroplasticity, and you also mentioned something that I would align to being able to properly invest your emotions and not put all your eggs in one basket, as you say. How important is it for people to develop holistically some level of lifestyle so that, as you rightly said, they would not make that total investment of their emotion into one thing, one individual relationship, or one person, as the case might be? Just be able to spread it abroad holistically so that they can have more benefit and be more balanced, rather, as a person, as an individual.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, holistic also means like taking care of your physical health as well as your emotional health, and it means, as I said, involved in a variety of things. So it is. So it's important to do that at any age and at any time, not just be obsessed with one thing. It's
Yeah, yeah.
really when right now there's been a trend in workplaces toward work-life balance, and I think that's really good.
Right, right. So, how important is your therapy and your coaching in terms of personal development for individuals, people who are seeking to just improve on what they have already accomplished and have a better outlook as towards their future in terms of how they see themselves getting along or being better than where they currently are now?
Well, it's important to, I mean, I think from a practical sense, a lot of the visualizations and even the law of attraction stuff that you hear about, I think it has, I mean, some basis. Like they need to be able to feel the feelings and feel the excitement of the idea of getting to that more advanced stage, but as well as be grounded enough to put the work in. And I think, like when you visualize something, you will get ideas about and have the confidence and believe you can do it. You will get ideas that pop in your head about how to do it and what to do.
Yeah, yeah. As you mentioned that, I'm thinking about individuals who are involved in pro sport. They earn their living, they earn their livelihood from sporting activities. Have you been working with anyone involved in pro sports, golfers, footballers, basketballers, as the case may be?
Well, I have been involved with people, people who used to be like have a successful rock band or used to play sports, but now it's like they're too old to do much of anything physically, and adjusting to that. And now I would, sometimes if people are even someone who's maybe just involved in their local bar's football team or their local theater group, I'm open to coaching them on how to have the right attitude, like as I just said, to get and the confidence to get better.
Yeah. So, Frank, here's the thing. Let's just imagine that you have the opportunity to eliminate something in the world that you feel we should not have to deal with. And I could give you a few examples: cancer, poverty, wars, racial discrimination, stuff like that. We all have something or things that we just feel like we shouldn't have to deal with it in the world. Which one would you most likely set aside that you think, hey, we shouldn't have to deal with this?
Well, I would say, although everything that you just mentioned is important to be corrected, I would say scapegoating, bullying, and all the ways that people are mean to each other and cheat each other out of things, all the just all the rottenness in the world.
Wow. That is so true. That is so true. So, if you had a megaphone then, and you could reach out to almost 8 billion people. I think it's close to 8 billion right now,
Yeah.
and everybody on the planet could hear you. What would you say to them, Frank?
I would say to them, it's easier to treat everybody well than to scapegoat, be mean to people, stab people in the back. It's a lot easier to just treat each other well. And if we
Yeah.
all did that, there wouldn't be any need for the other thing.
But how can we reach to that point, Frank, of being able to have that level of healing, that level of community spirit, and that level of acceptance across the board where we don't look at people and think he or she's a victim. I can take advantage of them. I can cheat. I can bully. I can rob them of a specific right that they may be entitled to. How can we make the difference? Because it would start with us, right? We see the need for certain things to change, but we don't have the power to change anybody. We may have some level of influence,
Yeah.
but we can make the changes that we need to see. So how can we do that, Frank? Where do we start?
Well, I think we need to start like in the schools and in the churches and all organizations, teaching people that that there can be enough to go around if people just treat each other well, and when somebody else succeeds at something, it doesn't take away from anybody else.
Yeah, yeah,
Learn. Oh, you see, you hear that term abundance a lot, and I believe in that. If we would all have the confidence and the faith that and that we'll do just as well if we treat people, maybe even better, because people would want to do more to help us if we help them instead of stab them in the back or cheat them. Or and along those lines, I take a different view of what victimhood is than most people. If you see someone cheating someone or bullying someone, or maybe parents who are angry about their kids' grades or that they're not excelling the way they would like, it's really the victim is the person who's unhappy with the other and thinks they need, it's not the person. I mean, the person who is being bullied or yelled at or something is a victim in some sense, but in another sense, the other person could appreciate that person, care about them, help them, but they're not, so they're a victim too.
wow, yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing, Frank. I really appreciate that. So we're coming to the end of this episode, and we're just gonna go for a quick commercial break for about 27 seconds or so, and we'll be right back to wrap up with Frank Healy. Stand by, folks. FindRadioGuest.com, the place to click to find guests to interview for free. And if you're a radio show booker, podcaster, talk show host, or television producer, then this is the place to get podcasts and radio interviews or promote your books and products as a guest expert sponsor. FindRadioGuest.com. Check it out. Yeah, so we are back live in the breakout room with our guest, Frank Healy. This episode is entitled Living with a Memory for Every Day with Frank Healy. So, Frank, I'm just going to close out this program by asking three questions that I normally would ask most of my guests. And the first question is, if you had a choice between two sandwiches, one peanut butter and jelly, and two ham and cheese. Which one would you choose and why?
I choose the peanut butter and jelly because even when it comes to ice cream and sweets, I like anything peanut butter flavored, and I like just about every kind of meat except for ham.
Okay, great. I love that. I love that response. So, in terms of sport, is it Sunday night football, Sunday night baseball, soccer, or the NFL? Or, well, I said the NFL before,
Yeah.
the Stanley Cup. Which one would it be for you, Frank?
it would be Sunday Night Baseball. I am very
Sunday night.
excited this year that my Phillies are doing so well.
Ah, I hear you. I hear you. Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. So, in the age of AI, we have so much challenges before us with regards to who is bringing this platform and who is bringing this software. And we have two giants. We have Apple and we have Google. Which one works better for you?
Well, that's hard to say because I wouldn't really have a preference with that. I mean, I have an Apple phone, and I guess I would have to, but I use Google for certain things because of the way the firewalls protect it. So, and you know, so they both have their uses.
Okay, great. Love that answer. You're neutral. I like that, Frank. So I'm just going to put up something on the screen there, but I'd like you to tell the audience, the listeners, how they can make contact with you if they need your services and your coaching to just feed off your experience.
Okay, well, I mean, I have his Amazon account, an Author Central account where my books are displayed, and
Hmm.
I have a website, phenomenalmemory.com, and so you can reach me either place. And then I have my okay, so that's listed there,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a Facebook page, so and my LinkedIn, so they can reach me at any of those sites. Or I have a very old email. It's an MSN one from
Uh-huh.
November of 2000. It's
Wow.
See, I never changed it because the more and more I get involved with media and books, the more confusing it would be to people to change my email address. So it's Healy's Heal One, all lowercase, HEALYSHEAL, and then the number one at MSN.com. Is I used to give massages too and called it Healy's Healing.
Okay. All
So
right.
so these are all kinds of ways to reach me, and anyone feel free. I'll be glad to help you.
Okay, great. Thank you. You've been a wonderful guest, and we thank Frank Healy for being with us. The episode entitled Living with a Memory for Every Day with Frank Healy. And you can also go to Amazon where you can look up Frank Healy and get some of his books, or you can contact him at any one of the information platforms you see on the screen there. Until next time, this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development, together with my guest, Frank Healy, saying so long, Godspeed, God bless, Shalom, Namaste. Bye for now, folks. Until next time.